a very good morning, everyone. And I see here on the chat box that many of you are wishing me a happy Doctor's Day. So thank you again for that. Thanks a lot, and a very, very good morning. My name is Dr. Rishi, and I'll be talking to you about the life of a doctor. What is it that it takes to be a doctor, and all that there is about being a doctor, the good, the bad, and finally the truth. Okay. At the outset, I'd like to thank Amazon Academy for giving me this wonderful opportunity to interact with you young and enthusiastic medical aspirants. And so what I'm going to do today is going to give you an overview, a basic overview of the journey of a medical aspirant right from their pre-med days, um, sorry, right from their pre-med days to the time they go through the different stages of a medical student, and eventually they become a consultant. Okay. So before we go ahead, let me just ask you guys a couple of questions. Do you know how long is the MBBS course? Why don't you just write down your answers in the chat box? So what is the duration of an MBBS course? Would any of you like to give it a go? 8 years. No. So it's not 8 years. So some of you have got the right answer. It's 5.5 years. So it's 4.5 years of the actual course and a year of internship. So it's 4.5 plus 1, a total of 5.5, and you're given your MBBS degree only once you're done with the 5.5 years. Then you become a junior resident. A junior resident is when you do your MD or MS. You basically specialize. And how long is that? How long is your MD or MS course? Do any of you know? Why don't you give it a go? How long is the MD or MS course? It's 3 years. So a few of you have got it right. Yes, absolutely. So that's a 3-year thing. After that, some may opt to do a senior residency, which is another 3 years, and finally you become a consultant. Senior residency is basically the time when you super specialize. I'll be coming to all of this in a minute. Okay. So what I'll be doing today is I'll be, apart from the journey of a medical aspirant, I'll also be discussing what are the perks, challenges, and opportunities of being a doctor, and I'll also bust some myths that's associated with the medical profession. So I'll start with my own journey when I was your age, a class 12 student of pre-med, and take you right to where I am right now today. I'm a consultant pediatric gastroenterologist. So this is me in the year 2000, where you guys are right now. I was just fresh out of class 12, and I really wanted to be a doctor. And there were all sorts of different thoughts that were going through my mind at that time. This can be a really difficult time, mainly because of the uncertainty that lies ahead. There were some negative thoughts in my mind. There were some positive ones. The negative thoughts were basically I was a bit confused. I knew I wanted to be a doctor, but did I really want to be a doctor? I was a bit unsure at times. There was also this element of self-doubt, because there was always this thing at the back of my mind. There'll be lakhs of children who will be appearing for the entrance exams. It's only a few thousand who will eventually get through. तो मेरे से हो पाएगा या नहीं हो पाएगा. And finally there were these people around me, some seniors, some other friends who would discourage me. अरे क्या डॉक्टर बनेगा, बहुत लंबी पढ़ाई है, बहुत ये है, बहुत difficult and stuff like that. But I always kept a very positive frame of mind. I was determined, I had the willpower, and I believed in myself. That's very important. You really have to believe in yourself. I was very motivated and I persevered. So all my hard work finally paid off, and I was able to get through all the entrance examinations that I gave that year. I know things have changed now a lot. I think you just have one entrance exam, but in my days we had to travel all around the country giving this entrance there. Every state had their own entrance, and it was a really complicated situation. But yes, I got through everything, and I made my way into medical college in the year 2001. I joined Grant Medical College in Mumbai. This is what I opted for, Grant Medical College in Mumbai. I was all excited, ekdam khush. Oh man, finally I'm in medical college. And so it was, I clearly remember the date. It was the 1st of August 2001, when I made my way to Bombay to join a college, and I went to the administrative office, did the joining formalities. It was a Saturday, and college was supposed to start from Monday, so I did all the joining formalities, and then we were asked to go to the hostel to get our accommodation. So the once I reached the hostel, all the euphoria had kind of died down because we were faced with something known as ragging. Uh, so it was actually pretty funny the way it happened. So we walked into the hostel area, and because it was a Saturday afternoon, I think so. All the final and pre-final year students, they were back from college, and they were all almost like waiting for us to come in. I was with my mom and dad, and these people, they were at the best of their manners. They behaved like in a really very lovely manner. They interacted with my parents, they interacted with us, they even helped us finding our rooms, they even helped us in carrying our bags and baggages, and helped us in settling down. But at 5 p.m., once my parents had left, their manners changed completely. At 5 o'clock, two or three of these seniors, they came to my room. They said, "अच्छा, settle हो गए?" I said, हो रहे हैं." "Okay, मिलो नीचे, अभी आप लोग से बातें करनी है." And at 5 p.m., we were all brought down. There were 23 of us, actually, 23 boys who had joined that day. We were all brought down to the dining hall, where the seniors, they'd already cleared off. They बीच में पूरा एक area ready कर लिया था. They'd put all the chairs and tables to the side, and we were all made to stand there. And from 5 p.m. till 5 a.m. the next morning, we were ragged. We were asked to narrate jokes, sing songs, dance, role play, and what all. So this was my first few hours in medical college. This ragging went on for a week or so. उसमें the most funny part would be that these seniors, wherever they used to catch hold of us, कभी corridor में मिल गए, कभी कहीं और मिल गए, they would just stop us and say, "Hey freshie, joke सुना." And you had to come up with a joke at that point of time. And अगर आपने ऐसा joke सुनाया which they've heard before, then they would tell you, नहीं नहीं, ये तो मजा नहीं आया, दूसरा joke सुना. And so funnily, like the first ever so the first ever book that I bought during my MBBS days was not actually an anatomy or physiology book. It was a joke book. The very next day I said, okay, ऐसे तो काम चलेगा नहीं, I need to brush up on my jokes. I bought Khushwant Singh's joke book, and I memorized all of them, and to get through the ragging period. This ragging period just lasted for around 10 to 12 days, and now that I think about it, it was just harmless fun, nothing else. There was nothing too extreme or something. It was just me and the seniors having fun, getting to know each other. But however, things have changed now because of some incidents across the country where people took things too far, and as of now, ragging has been banned. So this is the law that came up in 2009, and most institutes for the ragging is a strict no, including the one where I am right now. Okay, so now coming on to life in medical college. So we started off with year one. In year one, you basically study the basic sciences, human anatomy, biochemistry, and physiology. And the schedule is something like that. In the morning, you have lectures, and in the afternoon, you have laboratory or dissection sessions. Okay, and in the labs, you and your colleagues, you all get to meet together, and this is a very good time to actually bond, to learn the tenets of teamwork, and learn from each other. Okay, a very I think the big highlight of the first year is your dissection, because that is something obviously you've not done before. Do any of you know what are these dissection sessions? Um, what actually goes on? What do we dissect? Well, these are the human anatomy sessions in which we actually dissected human bodies. And I still remember the first day, when we walked into this dissection hall. So it was like a big hall. It was a big hall. Yeah, some of you have written it correctly in the chat box. You actually dissect cadavers. So we walked into this huge hall. It was a dissection hall. There were these rows of bodies on both sides, 6 on one side, 6 on the other. And I remember, like, when the first day when we all walked in, a lot of us let out this gasp, oh my god. I mean, it is shocking the way it all looks like, and four from our batch even ended up fainting. It was funny. One of the demonstrators, one of the lecturers from anatomy who was around, he actually turned around and said, ये तो मजबूत बैच लगता है, चार ही फेंट हुए, पिछले बैच में तो 8 फेंट हुए थे. So yeah, it was really hilarious, and but this shock or whatever, it just stays for a couple of days or maybe for a week, and then you get so used to it that now that I think about it, we had our most fun times. We learnt a lot and had most of fun times actually in the dissection room. So that's the way it was. Uh, so first year it passed away in a flurry. फटाफट निकल जाता है वो year. It like just you're busy making new friends, learning new things, studying, and the year just passes by, and you gradually move on to year 2. Now the second professional year, here you study the paraclinical subjects. So you study subjects like microbiology, pathology, pharmacology, and forensic. These are the ones that aid in clinical work. And then in the subsequent years, you move on to the more clinical side of things. Subjects such as ENT, which is your ear, nose, and throat, ophthalmology, medicine, surgery, pediatrics, and gynecology, and so on. Okay. So second year say there's a new thing that starts, and that is known as your clinical postings. Okay. So first year mein to it's mainly your lectures, labs, and dissection. So you don't actually interact with patients. वो feeling that you're going to become a doctor वो आती नहीं है first year में. Second year में once you start going to the wards where these patients are, so you dress up in your lab coats, you put your steth around it, and you go to the wards. And what you're supposed to do there is that you're supposed to actually interact with the patients, understand कि भाई उनको क्या problem है, and then observe and learn कि how they are being managed by the others. अब interestingly जब हम जाते हैं ward में as a second year student, and you actually go and meet the patients, the patient often doesn't know that we are just students and we don't know nothing. हम तो बस ऐसे ही lab coat और set डाल के आ गए हैं, but we don't really know something, and they start pouring out all their problems to us कि भाई हमें ये भी है, हमें वो भी है, इसमें क्या होगा, उसमें क्या होगा, and हम as students we have no idea. I tell you, मतलब you just feel like a मुन्ना भाई over there. मुन्ना भाई MBBS वाली feeling आती है कि भाई ये पूछ तो रहे हैं भाई, लेकिन हमें आता तो कुछ नहीं है. And with Munna Bhai, I'll just tell you a very interesting piece of trivia. The movie Munna Bhai MBBS, I'm sure some of you must have seen it, was actually shot in the very college where I've done my MBBS from. So it was shot in Grant Medical College, and this is one of the iconic scenes from the movie. What happened was that a few days before the shooting was going to take place, there were these different notices that was put up across our college that a big Bollywood movie in which a big Bollywood star is going to be shot, and those who would like to volunteer as extras can kind of join in. So I was in final year at that time. I think this was 2005 or 2006. I was in my final year, but I thought, okay, this sounds like a very good opportunity. Kyun nahi? Let's do it. And I also volunteered to be an extra. So what happened was that, sorry, something's come up. I'll just press OK over here maybe. Okay. So I thought I'll also volunteer to be an extra, and I gave in my name. And we spent 2 entire days shooting all these different scenes from the movie. So in fact, this hall that you see, where you can see Sanjay Dutt and the guys around this is our actually anatomy hall of Grant Medical College, and all these people around, they are actual medical students. I also got my 2 seconds of glory, sorry, and I also was visible in one blink you and miss it kind of scene. So this is a scene when Sanjay Dutt enters his classroom for the very first time in the movie, and everybody, sare students ko lagta hai ki he is like a professor or something, and they all get up and start wishing him. So if you have a close look, you could see, so this was me, just for maybe a fraction of a second, and so medical college didn't only teach me medicine, it also gave me a first break into the movie and film industry. Yeah. Oh yes, I do look very different. This is 16 years ago, and I have changed. I was 22 at that time. Now I'm 40 years old, so 18 years ago. So yes, I do look a bit different now. So yeah, so this was then. Okay, so अब हमारी, एज आई वाज टेलिंग यू, हमारी क्लिनिकल पोस्टिंग्स तो होती थी. सो व्हाट शेड्यूल वाज समथिंग लाइक दैट. दिस क्लिनिकल पोस्टिंग्स यूज्ड टू हैपन ड्यूरिंग द मॉर्निंग आवर्स. So we used to go to our wards, say before lunch around 8 to 1, and in the afternoon we had our lectures. Okay, and we were rotated through different specialities during our MBBS tenure. Like we used to spend 1 month in pediatrics. Pediatric is basically where you take care of children. Then a month in ophthalmology, jahan you look at at patients who have disorders of the eyes, and so on. So every month, and at the end of every month, we had something known as an end of posting exam. Okay, now, so what all you've learned during that time, you used to have an exam. So here I like to share an anecdote. So this is also very funny. So this was my first end of posting exam. So this was my medicine rotation, and so we completed a month there, and we came for exam that day. So what happens during the exams is that one of the resident doctors, he allots each medical student a particular patient. कि भाई आप ये पेशेंट देखो, you take the history examination, and then somebody would come and ask you questions about it. So I went up to the patient that was allotted to me, and I started talking to him, and I realized that okay, he's got some sort of a cardiac illness, कुछ heart का problem है. Now, during that posting, I'd read almost everything, but I hadn't read about heart diseases, and so I felt awfully stuck. मैंने कहा अब क्या होगा, अब तो गए काम से, पक्का फेल हो जाएंगे एग्जाम में. So I started asking my questions to the patient and whatever. So I realized while I was asking my history that patient, he'd been admitted. He had this problem for the last couple of years, and over the last year or so, he'd been admitted to our wards at least 15 or 16 times. So while I was taking the history, the patient, he stopped me. He said, "Doctor साहब एक सेकंड रुको." I said, "हाँ भाई क्या हुआ?" बोलता है, "आपका एग्ज़ाम है ना?" मैंने बोला, "हाँ." "कौन लेने वाला एग्ज़ाम?" I said, I'm not sure, but I think Dr. Deshpande पूछने वाले हैं. बोलता है, मैं बताता हूँ वो क्या पूछेंगे. So he was an educated guy, and because he'd been in and out of the hospital 15 times and had been a subject of an exam, so he knew what are the questions that Dr. Deshpande would ask, and he actually told me कि भाई देखो वो ये पूछेंगे, and even knew the answers. The funny part was, and I actually aced the exam. So my first medical exam, it was actually the patient who helped me ace it. So this was really funny, and I always tell everybody about it. So this actually happens. So a patient who's in and out of hospital, he at times knows more than your treating physician, because he's got that illness and because he's been treating it for such a long time. So yeah, a really very very funny incident that happened. This was in my second year, my first medicine posting. Well, so this was life in medical college. The years passed by. The second professional is actually 1.5 years. So though there are 4 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, जो second professional होता है वो 1.5 years का होता है, इसलिए the total duration is 4.5 years. Okay, so and at the end of every professional you have an exam which has got a theory as well as a practical, and so time passed by. I gave all the exams, and but apart from clinical postings and lectures, there was also a lot of fun and maza during your MBBS period. Life was never boring, not even for a second. We had this the thing that you can see right now. It's actually our college magazine, which used to come out every year, and I happened to be appointed the editor of the magazine. And if you see, this gentleman who's on the cover of the magazine is me. So I very humbly posed for this. So that's my back. So I even made it to the front cover of a college magazine, and we had a lot of fun. So every year our college had this college festival where a lot of because it was in Mumbai, we used to have a lot of celebrities come in, and a lot of cultural performances, a lot of academic stuff too, and life was a blast. So medical college was full of fun. These are some of the pictures. When I was doing my MBBS, we didn't have these smartphones, so these are all photos that have been taken from your reel wala cameras. I don't know, many of you probably don't even know about them, that they used to exist. And so these are some. I have very few pictures, unfortunately, but yeah, these are some of the pictures of one of our outings. The one on the right, this is from the college festival that we'd organized, and many more. other outings, and we used to celebrate a lot of college festivals together. This is Holi, the festival of colors on a particular year. So yeah. So that was life in medical college. 4.5 साल कैसे निकल गए पता ही नहीं चला. Internship शुरू हो गई, and then internship also ended. So once I was done with MBBS, the big question came कि भाई अब क्या करना है, अब क्या करना है. So I loved interacting with children during my time as a MBBS student. I loved all the pediatric postings, the clinical postings, and so I had made up my mind that I'll be a pediatrician. So I set about studying for the entrance exams. This wasn't as taxing and things weren't as uncertain as it was when I was preparing for my MBBS entrance, and I managed to get a good rank and get a seat at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in New Delhi, the Mecca of medicine. So I got in. So I've got an interesting question. Somebody is asking, sir, is it that we fail in the exam, then we have to repeat 6 months? Okay, so that's an MBBS question. So no, it's not like that. It's not like that for every year. So obviously, if you fail in your final year, then yes, you have to give your exams after 6 months, or if you fail in the first year. But if you fail in the second or third year, you are allowed to keep your term. You move on to the next year, and you can just have to give the exam. So you don't have to repeat those 6 months. Okay, so coming back to my post graduation days, I made my way into the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, AIMS, New Delhi, where I trained to be a pediatrician. So this was a 3-year period. Being a resident doctor is a totally different ball game. This can be really intense, as the name itself implies, resident doctor. So you have to be in hospital most of your time. But this is also the time where you actually learn all practical work and everything. And I really enjoyed my residency period, interacting with these small babies, and that's what I do now. And so yeah, so I had a really good time. Because I was in AIMS, I got this opportunity to interact from one of the best pediatricians in the country. In these pictures, if you look around, this gentleman here is Dr. VK Paul. He's been quite in the news lately. He's spearheading India's COVID campaign. He's now become a Niti Ayog member, but when I was there, he was the head of Department of Pediatrics. So yeah, so I got this wonderful opportunity to learn from the best in the country. Somebody is asking me, sir, you got selected in PG in your first attempt only. Yes, I did get selected in my very first attempt. So I had that's what most people do. You start preparing for your postgraduate entrance exams when you are an intern. So I started preparing at the same time, and once my internship got over, I gave the postgraduate entrance exams and I got through into AIMS. Okay, so I was done with my junior residency, done with my MD in pediatrics, and then I had to decide what to do next. So here there are basically two paths. Some people, they decide to just work more in the same field, like and be a better general pediatrician, while some people at this point may decide to even further specialize. It's known as super specialization. I decided to do something more, and I decided to become a pediatric gastroenterologist. So what is I can see some more questions coming up on the chat box. So what I'll do is, probably because they are from the things that I've already discussed, maybe I'll answer them at the end. Okay, somebody's asked me, like, how many hours did you study during MBBS? Well, frankly speaking, during MBBS, it used to be maybe an hour or two a day, not more than that. It's only we mainly used to study during our exam times. At that time, we used to put in maybe 10 to 12, couple of weeks before the exams. But on a regular basis, maybe an hour a day, not more than that. Okay. Right. Okay. So coming back to my journey, so I had finished my pediatric training. I was an MD in pediatrics, and I decided to train further and become a pediatric gastroenterologist. As the name gastroenterologist itself suggests, it is basically to do with the stomach, intestine, and liver of children. So I've become an expert in gastroenterology and hepatology. That is basically the study of the intestines and the liver. And I did this training from the Sanjay Gandhi Postgraduate Institute in Lucknow, and thereafter I decided to work overseas for a while. And Indian doctors are really respected overseas. If you look around, there are plenty of Indian doctors. You go to the US, you go to UK, Australia, or New Zealand, or Canada. All these English-speaking countries, the Indian doctor population, it contributes very significantly to the healthcare. And I decided to move overseas, and I worked in Australia. I lived in Melbourne for 3 years after finishing my pediatric gastroenterology training. And once I was done with that, I decided to come back to India. That was a few years ago in 2017. January was when I finally came back, and here I joined in as a consultant. Um, I uh, I decided to work. So what happens is, once you become a trained doctor, there are generally two or three paths in front of you. Some decide to work in a government setup in a teaching hospital, while others decide to work in a private or corporate hospital. I had this interest, that this penchant for teaching, and so I decided to join a teaching hospital, and I joined the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in Rishikesh. And this is a aerial view of our hospital. It's a beautiful campus. So it's located quite near to the river Ganges, and Rishikesh in itself, it's a serene, it's a lovely place to live in. And I've been here since the last 3 years. So 3 years in Rishikesh as a pediatric gastroenterologist. Uh, Here I somebody is asking, sir, presently you are in which city? I am in Rishikesh, and this is where I've been living since the last 3 years. I am a faculty. I'm an assistant professor at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, AIMS Rishikesh, in pediatric gastroenterology. And during these 3 years, I've been donning different hats. I'm a clinician, so I see patients. I am a teacher, so I teach MBBS students. I teach students who are doing their MD as well as DM, and I'm also a researcher. So working in a government institute, it gives you this flexibility to work as a researcher. Now, somebody is asking, is it I decided to specialize and super specialize and work as a clinical test teacher and researcher? Now, somebody is asking, is PG compulsory to become a doctor? Absolutely not. So, if you look, so what you can do your MBBS and just work generally in different departments over a period of 3 years, and you can very well become a general practitioner. So that's also a very good career option. So I decided to go down this path, and this is me today. MBBS, MD, DM, fellowship, and currently I'm a teacher, coordinator of training programs, and an avid researcher. I've also contributed to a lot of book chapters. Okay, so now today, so I joined MBBS in 2001, and today is 2021. So looking back, so my 20-year journey in this medical field, people ask me, do you think, did I take the right decision of becoming a doctor? Uh, my answer is a unanimous yes, yes, and yes. I think this was the best possible decision that I took. I love my job. I love what I'm doing, and it's lovely. This journey has been very lovely, enriching, and fulfilling. People ask me why should one become a doctor? Well, the first and most important reason is that it's an immensely satisfying job. Uh, I always tell others, whenever somebody asks me, I always tell them, I don't think that I've worked even for a single day in my life. I don't think what I'm doing as work of any sort. I enjoy it so much. I just don't feel that it is work, and there's nothing else that I'd rather do. I get an opportunity to help people every day, and this is the beauty of being a doctor. I mean, every day you have this sense of achievement, this sense of fulfillment. You have this adrenaline surge. I have these children who come to me who are really sick, and then and once you treat them, they are up and about, and you see those kids smiling, and that gives you such an adrenaline surge that You just love it. Okay, somebody is asking me how much do I earn, and I will come back to that. I will let you know how much do I earn, but let me just go through these slides once. And the fact that you positively affect your patients every day also is something that you love doing. And there's a lot of respect for you in the community in general. Though that is diminishing, I'll come to that in a while. But there's a lot of respect to your family, your peers, your friends, your neighbors. Everybody really respects you. Wherever you go, everybody stands up to you. Acha Dr. Saab, ye, wo, and everything. So it's, you really love the adulation and love and respect that you get. Okay. So the other thing about being a doctor is, now I now come to the more practical aspects. You have immense job security. Now, the medical field is one field where there is no recession. If you're a banker, there can be recession. You can be in the IT field, there can be a recession. There can be a lull. But once you're a doctor, there's no recession. People will continue to fall ill, and the community will require doctors. They will always require doctors. So you have immense job security. You earn a reasonably good salary. I'll actually get into specific numbers too. I'll do get into specific numbers too, how much a doctor earns. And as I said, there's no recession. Okay. The other great thing is that if you are one of those who's curious, who loves learning, then the medical profession is one in which you get to learn all your life. There are new advancements that occur, and there are new things that are discovered every day. There are new diseases, new treatments, and you really have to keep yourself updated, and you really tend to enjoy it. And there's this saying that there's no field which has got more left to be discovered, probably besides astronomy. So in the medical field, learning never ends. It's just this constant drive that keeps you going, and it's real fun. And you get to work with a lot of really smart people too. So most of my colleagues and we've all come through this path, and we're really smart, and this stimulating intellectual discussions that we have with each other when discussing patients or whatever. It's something that really keeps you on your toes. But there are some challenges also. Medicine is one field where there is no scope for complacency, okay, because often you don't have a second choice. Okay, so you can't be complacent. Like in other fields, you can probably say you're not in a mood, you can say, let's just take it easy or whatever, but not with medicine. If you're on the job, if you're on duty, you have to be there 100%, and you have to give in your 100%. But I think that is something that you don't really have to make an effort with. At least I don't feel so, because once you're on the job, you have this feeling that I have to give in my best, and you do that all the time. The other thing is that you have to at least times make sacrifices. Obviously, the period of being a resident and being a doctor also, at times I do have to miss out on some festivities and cultural gatherings because I'm busy with my work. But I think that's a very small price that you have to pay for what you achieve of being a doctor. There's some new challenges these days. Our society as a whole, as you know, like people in general, they've become a bit impatient. People want quick results. Unfortunately, that can't come in healthcare. So this is something that's very new, and this is only people from the new generation of doctors are facing. The older ones, they never had these situations. So for example, I see children in my outpatient clinic. I see them for around 15 minutes. That's my usual appointment time. But sometimes what happens is that they have some problems which I know I can't address in 15 minutes. So I overshoot the time. I may take 20 or 25 minutes, and the one who's scheduled next by that time starts throwing a tantrum. So this is something that even I didn't see in my initial days, but now I think it's just in general, the community, people are becoming impatient. There's more, they value their time, and so this is a thing that's changing, but there are ways to go about it. And most of the times I don't really have much of a problem, and I'm able to deal with these these small things. Okay. Now, what are the opportunities? Now, if you're a doctor, the sky is not the limit, it's just the beginning, because you have this, you can don many hats. Apart from being a clinician, doctors, if you don't like this process of interacting with patients, which some of my colleagues don't, you can be a diagnostician. Some of them dedicate themselves to research and become researchers. Some may become full-time teachers and just teach MBBS, MD, and DM students. There are others who have even branched out and have become businessmen. So I have some of my MBBS colleagues who've gone down the business path and have opened their own private hospitals, nursing homes, and have become entrepreneurs. And then there are people like me who even act as motivators, talking to young and enthusiastic people like you. And yeah, and most of them love it. Okay. So somebody's asked me, is it hard to memorize the MBBS course? No, it really isn't, because there's a lot of stuff that you actually see, do, and observe. You learn them practically, and so these are things that so you don't really have to sit down and mug up things most of the time. You don't really have to memorize a lot because you actually see and do things, and once you do things, it just becomes a part of your daily doing. Yeah. Okay, so when we're talking about donning many hats, this brings us. Do you know who's Dr. Bidhan Chandra Roy? Does any of you know who's Bidhan Chandra Roy? Dr. Bidhan Chandra Roy. I'm waiting for some answers. So if any of you know, why don't you go ahead and type it in the chat box? So today is Doctor's Day. A lot of you have been wishing me. And so Dr. Bidhan Chandra Roy or Dr. B.C. Roy, he is the person. He was born today in 1882, and it's on his memory that Doctor's Day is observed. So he was one of the first Indian physicians. He trained initially in India and then in the UK. And he was not only a physician, he was also a surgeon. And once he came back to India, he reprised the role of an educationist, a philanthropist. He was also a freedom fighter. He also later turned into a politician, and he was the second chief minister of West Bengal for a long time. So he's one person who can inspire you and tell you that doctors, they can don many hats. And I myself, I'm a clinician, I'm a teacher, and I'm also a researcher. So yeah, so the opportunities are innumerable. The sky is not the limit. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll just quickly bust some popular myths that are associated with the medical professional. Okay, so the first myth is that doctors start earning really late. So one of you actually ended up asking me, like, how much do I earn? I'll let you know. I'll let you know right now. So do doctors really start earning very late? Now let us have a quick look at the journey of a medical aspirant. So from a pre-med to a medical student. So obviously medical students don't earn anything. But once you become an intern, you start getting your first salary, which is, I agree, it's just peanuts. It's around 10 to 15,000 for a month, but you do get started. And when you're an intern, on an average, you're around 22 or 23 years old. Once you're a junior resident, that is when you're doing your MD or MS, a JR or a junior resident earns anywhere between 60 to 90,000 rupees a month. So that is what JRs are being paid today, but this is something that gets constantly revised. And once you become a senior resident, you earn around 1 lakh rupees a month. And once you become a consultant, it really varies. If you're in a government setup, you earn around 2 lakh or 3 lakh rupees per month. That's my salary. But if you work in the private sector, you earn a lot more. So yes, I would like to clarify that you do start earning pretty early. At the age of 24, you start getting a pretty decent salary. And so it's really a myth that doctors don't earn for a very long. So though it's a long period of studying, 5.5 plus 3 plus 3, you start earning once you're done with your MBBS. So you start earning at the age of 24. The second myth is that doctors work all the time. Now this is again a proper myth. Most of even I and most of my colleagues, we don't work for more than 9 hours a day. Now my working time hours are between 9 to 5. I come into the hospital at 9. I do my OPD or clinic in the morning. I take lectures in the afternoon, do more clinics or see my inpatients during the afternoon, and I'm generally free by 5 in the evening. There's a separate team that covers evenings and nights, and at times I also have to do that. So yes, we don't work within more than 8 hours a day. Yes, we do have to do odd hours at times. So yes, there are days when I actually come in at 5 and I stay all night and go back in the morning. So that's a different thing altogether. But my actual working hours is never more than 48 to 60 hours in a week. So that's another myth, that doctors generally do not work all the time. The third myth is that doctors know everything. देखो ऐसा है कि as I've already told you that MBBS, there are number of subjects, there are number of specialities, there are number of super specialities, and you really cannot expect a doctor to know everything. Now, most doctors, including myself, I often hate going to social gatherings. I'll tell you why. Whenever I go to a family function, a celebration, a party, what happens is that all my friends and relatives, they come up to me and they start asking me, डॉक्टर साहब ये प्रॉब्लम है, क्या करना है, डॉक्टर साहब वो प्रॉब्लम है या क्या करना है, वो मेरे एक अंकल है, उनको प्रोस्टेट का प्रॉब्लम है, आपको क्या लगता है उसमें सर्जरी कराना चाहिए या नहीं कराना चाहिए. आई हैव नो आइडिया. I am a pediatrician. I don't know what needs to be done with somebody who has a problem of prostate, or yeah, somebody would come up and ask me, ये इनको कुछ गायनी की डॉक्टर ने ये बोला है. I really don't know. I mean, I have a general idea, but I am not an expert and I cannot give advice. And sometimes when I tell them कि I really don't know, what I can do is maybe I can ask a colleague and get back to you. They feel, oh my god, ये डॉक्टर है, इसको तो कुछ आता ही नहीं है. But so what most doctors, they know very well about their own specialty, their own super specialty, but it's just not humanly possible to know about everything. So it's not possible for one doctor to be an expert on all health conditions. Even in your own field, like I'm a pediatric gastroenterologist, there are continuous advancements that keep on occurring, so I have to keep myself updated. We have a lot of teaching activities. We have seminars, we have something known as CMEs, which basically stand for continuing medical education, and that is where we go attend and update ourselves and learn a lot. So as I said, we attend seminars and we also undertake research to educate ourselves and get to know about the latest medical breakthroughs and best practice. Somebody is asking us, how do you choose your field of specialization? Now, that is a very individual thing, a very, very individual thing. As I had said early during my presentation, when I was doing my MBBS, you rotate through every field. I really loved pediatrics, dealing with children, and I made up my mind कि मैं बनूंगा तो pediatrician ही. Similarly, there's some who like surgery because we get to go into operating theaters during MBBS. We even get to assist in surgeries, and some of them develop that liking for surgery. They decide to become a surgeon and so on. So this is something that it's very individual, it's very personal, and it's something that only one person can say about what he or she wants to do. It's very difficult for someone else to decide on what field one wants to specialize in. Sometimes some people, what they do is they want to find out भाई सबसे ज़्यादा scope किस में है कि is it and they decide accordingly. But what I believe is that there is a scope in all specializations and fields, and so you should listen to what your heart says, and you should decide on your specialty accordingly rather than what others say. Okay. The fourth myth is that there are good doctors and bad doctors. Now this is the biggest myth. There is nothing like a bad doctor. Every doctor, every person, every colleague whom I know of puts in their heart and soul and tries their best that the patient that they are dealing with recovers. But however, sometimes even because of the best of our abilities, we are not able to do much. At times it is just because of the nature of the illness or the disease, it's so progressed that we aren't able to do much. But that doesn't mean that that's a bad doctor. There may be a few incompetent people, but that's true for any industry. What really happens is that it's just a bad fit between the doctor and patient. So it's just that they don't get along together, and so the patient, he labels the doctor as a bad doctor. But there's no true thing as a bad doctor. And the other thing is that just like any other person, even doctor may have a bad day and may have a different individual personality. There are some who are very talkative, some who are more shy and reserved. And so what happens that if there's somebody who's shy or reserved, patients assume that he's pretty arrogant, but that's not the case. It's just that he's not one of those who likes talking all the time. Somebody is asking me, do you feel stress while working in the hospital? Well, I won't say no. Yes, देखो, that's because that's the nature of the job. You're dealing with actual lives at times, so it can be stressful. But there are ways, you know how to deal with it, and in the end result, once you're done with it, your patient comes out of it, he recovers or gives you that $1 million smile, all that stress just disappears. Yep. uh, Somebody's asking what are the scopes in research after MBBS. So it's the scope, there's no boundary. So you can there's a scope. If you want to be a basic clinician, a scientist, you can do some laboratory based research. If you're interested in clinical research where you actually like give some medicine to a patient, see how the patient responds to that, that's clinical research, you can do that. So the scope for research is tremendous, and you can do a lot of stuff. And the final myth is that often people say that doctors do not have a life outside that workplace. A big no to that. No, all doctors, most doctors have got a very good social life. Most of my colleagues, they have a hobby which they pursue ardently. Me myself, I'm an avid amateur mountaineer. Over the last 6-7 years, I've climbed a lot of mountains around the world. The first picture here is me on the peak of Mount Elbrus. This is in Russia, and it's the highest peak in Europe. The other two pictures here is me on the peak of Mount Kilimanjaro, which is the highest peak in Africa. So it is not. So everybody, all doctors, they take these breaks. They have their vacations. They travel. I visited more than 35 countries during the last 15 years or so. So yes, doctors do have an excellent life outside their workplace too, and it's not just always work and work. Okay, so with that, I bring an end to my talk today. That's all from my side right now. Being a doctor is all good, more good, and this is the truth. And now I'll be happy to take any questions. So I can see a few on my chat box over here. Somebody's asked me, sir, please share your experience in AIMS. Okay, so I have worked at AIMS New Delhi. That's where I did my post graduation form, my pediatric training. And I would say that AIMS is it's I mean, there's a lot of hype around AIMS, and that is all absolutely true. You've got some really excellent clinicians at AIMS, some very good teachers. The infrastructure is really the best in the country, and there's a lot of all the faculty there. They kind of nurture you. They help you in developing into good clinicians, into good. They imbibe the essence of research into you, so that you think of becoming a researchers too. So yes, AIMS was all good. Somebody's asked you, sir, is it that we have to cut a frog for learning surgery in MBBS? No, sir. We are not training to be veterinarians. We are training to work on humans. So no, you don't dissect frogs. You dissect actually human bodies. So you learn surgery by actually working on humans. Obviously, you do it under supervision. There's somebody who's at your back, ready to guide you, and that's how you learn. Somebody's asking me, sir, first you did college in Mumbai and then New Delhi. Yes. I decided to do my MBBS. I opted for Grant Medical College, and I did my MBBS there. And then for my post graduation, I decided to come to New Delhi and did my PG from AIMS. Thereafter, I also lived in Lucknow, and then I spent a few years in Australia. And I think that's given me a very rounded sort of personality, working in these different hospitals, interacting with different physicians and clinicians, and that's made me what I am. Somebody asked me, "Do you remember all the medicine name?" I don't, and nobody does. As I have just now said, it's a myth. A doctor cannot know everything, and so I know all the medicines that I commonly prescribe that deal with my specialty. I know their doses, the duration that they have to be given. But if you ask me about a medication that's given in gynecology or in surgery or in orthopedics, I'm sorry, I really wouldn't know. So yes, I don't know about all medicines. It's just not possible. Uh, so somebody is asking, can we do PG in AIMS after completing MBBS from Assam or any other state? Obviously, that's what I have also done. I did my MBBS from one of the state medical colleges. I did it from Mumbai, and then I moved on to Delhi and I did my post graduation from AIMS. So yes, absolutely, you can do that. No problem at all. A very good question somebody is asked: does financial status matter in studying MBBS? Okay, so do you know what was my fees? So that's the best thing about being a medical aspirant in India. So if you, I don't know if you've heard about it, but in the Western world, medical education is really expensive. I mean, you have to pay hundreds and thousands of dollars during your MBBS time. You have to take bank loans, and you spend a good number of years just paying off your loans. In India, the medical education is one of the cheapest in the world. So my fees during MBBS was 6,000 rupees per year. That's it, 6,000 rupees. So for 4.5 years, it was 27,000 rupees. That's the entire course fees. I'm sure you guys end up paying a lot more for your coaching and stuff these days. So medical education in India, in the state-run medical colleges, is pretty cheap. Obviously, there are some private medical colleges too, in which the fees is quite high and may run into a few lakhs in one of them. But the majority of colleges are state-run, and yeah, so financial status doesn't really matter. Even during my MBBS, I had colleagues who came from all different socioeconomic strata, and it really didn't matter. Okay, somebody's asked me, sir, did you attempt NEET? नहीं भाई, I didn't attempt NEET because मेरे time पे NEET होता ही नहीं था. I gave my MBBS entrance in the year 2000, 21 years ago. तब we used to have an exam known as the CBSE PMT, एक ऑल इंडिया PMT जिसको बोलते थे, and every state had its own entrance exam, and you could give those exams if you were a domicile of that state. And then these central institutes, AIMS, JIPMER, BHU, CMC, they used to conduct their own exams. So from during my time, when I had to give these entrance exams, I remember कुछ exam तो Delhi में हो जाते थे, but for the others I had to travel around. I had to go to Pondicherry to give the JIPMER exam. I had to go to Vellore to give the CMC exam. Yeah. Now somebody is asking, प्रेजेंट व्हाट इज़ फीस इन MBBS कॉलेज. देखो, प्रेजेंट फीस तो मुझे नहीं पता. आई कांट टेल यू. आई कैन टेल यू द फीस इन एम्स ऋषिकेश, वेयर आई एम राइट नाउ. सो द फीस इज अराउंड 3,000 rupees for every 6 months. So it's still 6,000 rupees per year in AIMS like institutes. But I think in most other institutes, I think it's somewhere between 20 to 50,000 per year. But I'm not sure on that. Because it really varies from college to college, from state to state, and whether it's a state-run government medical college or whether it's a private college. Somebody is asking, is PG too hard? PG too hard? So you mean doing post graduation? देखो, ऐसा है कि yes, it is tough. It's a 3-year period where actually you work as resident doctors. You have to be around most of the time, but I think it's a very important time of your training period, because that's where you actually learn how to practically deal and manage with your patients. And if you do put in a lot of time and effort, you turn out to be a better doctor. But having said that, the work hours per week, it generally does not exceed 60 hours per week, and you generally have a weekend off. So here at AIMS Rishikesh, I train a lot of MD pediatric students, so they get their Sunday off, and their working time is generally between 8 to 6 or 8 to 5 every day, and they have to do these night shifts maybe once or twice a week, so maybe 4 to 6 times in a month. Okay. Um, Next question that somebody is asked is, uh, how many hours should I study to crack NEET? देखो भैया, so this is something that I used to, I used to say even during my time. It's not about the hours that you put in, it is about how you read and what you read. So even if you study for 10 hours but आपका other time दिमाग इधर उधर जा रहा है, it doesn't really count. It's even if you spend for a few hours every day but you really into it, put in all your time and energy and really focus, that is generally good enough. Now somebody's asked, sir, from which year of MBBS we can start preparing for USMLE? Okay, so for those who don't know, USMLE basically stands for the United States Medical Licensing Examination, and a lot of Indians, as I said, you are working overseas. There are a lot of Indians in the US also. In fact, I think Chinese and Indian doctors, they constitute a major chunk of all the doctors in the US. And so once you're done with your MBBS, if you want to go to the US, you have to give this exam, which is the medical or MLE exam. This exam is held in our country, it's held in India, and it's a 3-step process. And most students, they give this exam, they start giving this first step when they are an intern, but you can start preparing even when you are in your second year of MBA, where some of them do start doing that. You can get those books because that is what is asked in the exam, so you can start preparing from your first or second year itself. Okay, so it's almost been an hour of me speaking here, and if you have somebody is asking me, why do students take coaching for NEET PG even from second or third year? Okay, so now this is obviously this is something new for me also. मैं तो इस ज़माने का हूँ नहीं, but yes, you are right. When I do interact with my MBBS students over here, I do get to know that some of them do start coaching from the second year itself. Whether that is the right thing to do, not the right thing to do, I probably won't be the best person to answer that, because हमारे ज़माने में ऐसा नहीं होता था. But what I would like to say is that I think MBBS is a time where it's very important to learn the basics, and if you really pay attention to what's being taught to you during your MBBS time, you wouldn't really need the coaching and stuff. You can just study all that you've done during MBBS and easily crack the postgraduate entrance exams. Okay, now there are few questions जिनके जवाब मेरे पास नहीं है. Somebody is asking me to join AIMS, how much rank we should have in NEET. I have no idea. When I was giving my entrance exam, there was only one AIMS New Delhi in the year 2000, and there were only 35 MBBS seats in the general category. So even though me at my time, my rank was 45th, I didn't get an MBBS seat over there because there were only 35. So now there are a lot more AIMS. I think there are a total of 15 or 16 AIMS, and a lot more coming up. So probably you might get MBBS at a much further rank. Okay, now somebody is asking this question continuously, sir, please provide us a good schedule for study to crack NEET with all India rank 1. Bhai, somebody actually answered the previous question. To join AIMS, 700 plus should be there. Okay, so that's probably where things stand today. So if you can get a rank within the top 700, you would probably get a seat in AIMS in today's era. Okay, so regarding your NEET questions, there'll be a session probably next week about how to crack NEET, and so if you have any other questions related to the life of a doctor, and if you've had any, because I'm sure आपने बहुत बातें सुनी होंगी, a lot of them are just misconceptions or myths. I would be very, very happy to address them. So yeah, please bring them on. But if you have questions pertaining to NEET and the nitty-gritties of passing these entrance exams, I think Amazon Academy, it would have another session for that later on to address these questions. So it's already 12:01. Thank you so much, all of you, for listening patiently. And somebody is asking how much is mess, food, and fees. Well, that also varies, but in all government hospitals, it's very, very subsidized. At Grant Medical College in the year 2001 to 6, the hostel fees was 250 rupees for 6 months, so 500 rupees a year. So everything is very subsidized by the government. And so in government hospitals, is there a space between personal profession? Yes, there is. I myself, so it's all up to the individual. I have a very clear demarcation about my professional and personal space when I am in my using my personal time. When I am with my, I've got a small daughter. When I'm with her, I make sure that I do not look at my phone or do not take calls from patients or others. So yeah, there's a clear cut demarcation, but that depends on individuals, and that's probably the same for any industry. Okay. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll be happy to talk to you some other time. Somebody's asked me for my contact number. So what I can do is I'll probably share my email ID. I'll just type it out on the chat box over here. So I'll be happy to answer any of your queries related to life as a doctor. So if there's my email ID. I'll be happy to receive any emails from you. Okay, it seems I am not able to send a message. Yeah, so my email ID is Rishi Bolia, that's my name, at icloud.com, icloud.com, Rishi Bolia. Thank you again, and now let us conclude this session. Have a good day.